Okay, here we go. Everybody ready? Cammie, are you ready?
Yeah.
Liz?
Miss Scott, what did you press to get to the highlight tool?
Did you go to the first, it's an add-on, but you'll need to go to the little video at the bottom. I don't know who said that. I hate it when I can't see everybody.
It was Anaya.
Noah, are you okay? Okay. I need, let's see, Noah, if your sound is okay, can you read out loud what the prompt is? Are you there? Okay, we couldn't hear you. Adam, you read it.
What do I read?
You're reading the prompt.
In the following poem, To His Coy Mistress by Andrew Merwell, the speaker addresses his shy lover. Read carefully the following poem, then in a well-written essay, analyze how Marvell uses poetic elements and techniques to reveal his complex relationship between speaker and his love.
Okay, remember, that is the way things will be organized this year on the AP test when you write your Q1. Now, that word complex relationship, they gave you a lot of hints. So after I read it, we'll go back. In fact, while I'm reading it, you could mark word choice. That's probably the easiest thing for you to mark right now. And here's what you'll do with that. All you have to do is I'm reading through the poem, then we'll come back and fill in all these other things. As I started, had we but whirled enough in time, this coyness lady were no crime. Ooh, that word coyness. That's important. And then I come over here to word choice, click on it, and there it is. What's going to, and then you'll come over here and write a definition. Coyness is what? Shyness. In other words, you're going to fill in, and what will end up happening once you have word choice, syntax, which is sentence structure, any techniques and strategies you see in it, what did Marvell do, and any tone elements. You'll have a lot of green because that's very wide, and you'll have probably quite a bit of blue because the blue is going to tell you, does his tone shift? Do we know who the speaker is? We do because it's Andrew Marvell. If you look on the handout that has the chart on it, what did I tell you about Andrew Marvell? On that chart, he's listed under the Cavalier or Carpe Diem puts, but I told you something about him. Sophia?
He's a bridge writer.
Yes, he's the bridge poet. He bridges metaphysical, he bridges both those columns together, which means he's going to have the Carpe Diem attitude, but there's going to be a crazy metaphysical conceit. One that you're going to go, oh my God. If mom or dad are in the room, you need to tell them right now we're doing a poem that is not let's just say X-rated a bit, and it really is. It was written in what year? What does it say in the prompt?
1681.
1681. We're talking that 1600s, and the word mistress. We need to talk about that. What is a mistress? Anybody?
A woman that you're not married to, I guess.
Like a kept woman. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the way we think of it today, but it used to be that it would have been Mistress Hamlin, Master Reynolds. In other words, those were the terms for Miss and Mister. So the title itself just means a shy young woman. That's all that really means right there. If you wanted to write that next to his koi mistress, you could say, this is written to a shy young woman. I'll go ahead and do that. That word mistress, the connotations just kind of changed. Okay, well, I don't want to. Let me see. Who do I have? I pick on Joseph all the time. Might be easier if I go ahead and read it, and then we'll kind of discuss from there. Okay, here we go. And remember, this is the guy speaking, not Andrew Marvell, but just some guy. Had we but whirled enough in time, this coyness lady were no crime. We would sit down and think which way to walk and pass our long love's day. Thou by the Indian Ganges side shouldest rubies find. I by the tide of Umber would complain. I by the tide of Umber would complain. I would love you 10 years before the flood, and you should, if you please, refuse till the conversion of the Jews. My vegetable love should grow vaster than empires and more slow, and 100 years should go to praise thine eyes and on thy forehead gaze. 200 to adore each breast, but 30,000 to the rest. An age at least to every part, and the last age should show your heart. For lady, you deserve this state, nor would I love at lower rate. Okay, who dares to talk about this? Opening stanza here. What does he mean when he says, had we but whirled enough in time, this coyness lady were no crime? Anna, what do you think? Oh, your sound is, something's wrong with your sound. Anna, your Noah, what do you think? What's the speaker saying? What now? Everybody's having trouble with sound today. Somebody read the chat out. Did you tell us, Noah? Okay, let's go ahead and see if somebody else can help us out there. I'm so sorry about the sound, guys. Charlotte, what do you think? Why is he saying, had we but whirled enough in time, this coyness lady were no crime?
I'm not really sure, but can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Well, I wanted you to not forget to record
Oh, I'm
the.
recording.
Okay, just want to make sure. I've been having issues. But if I had to guess, the lines would be like, life is short, like there's no reason to be shy with me.
Okay, that's exactly what he's saying. It's carpe diem attitude. I would go ahead and write out beside this, underneath your shyness, go ahead and write and annotate what those two lines are saying so that you have that there. So when it begins, there again is just like with the flea, is that persuasion? Had we but whirled enough in time, this coyness lady would be fine. It would be okay for you to be shy, but we don't have time. At least you get that feeling that's what he's trying to say. And then we get some things that are probably difficult that you might need to look up or understand. What's the Indian Ganges? Anybody? Sophia, what's the Indian Ganges?
A river.
It is the river. When we did the sun rising, what did the man say about the woman who was with him? That she was like the spices of what?
India.
The spices of India. So these poets, they loved using the idea that there were jewels and precious things in the, you might say, in the East, because they didn't understand the East. We're talking the areas where riches came from, beautiful golds. So here he goes. We would sit down and think which way to walk and pass our long love's day. In other words, we'd walk by the Ganges River in India, and we could pick up rubies. I mean, this is kind of a fantasizing. Thumbs up if everybody's with me. Everybody's following me? Okay. And make sure you're making notation of this because there's a lot of inferences here. I, by the tide of umber, would complain. Does anyone know what umber is? Umber is a color. The word is used biblically because look what happens next. And what do we call it when we are using references to the Bible?
A biblical illusion.
Good, Anaya, illusion, nice. That was really good. It is an illusion. There's so many in this first part. And then he goes, I would love you 10 years before the flood. That is the biblical flood. And you should, if you please, refuse till the conversion of the Jews. And that is a very significant thing because we know that's not going to happen. That's that element of infinity. Okay, the next line is one of the most famous, and it's a naughty line. I'm going to let you all figure that one out on your own. But that is why when you're in college, professors will go into a lot of detail on that next line, and then we'll skip down to vaster than empires and more slow. 100 years. Look at all this time he said, if I had all this time, look what I would do. I would gaze at your forehead, 200 on your breast, 30,000 of the rest. And then he goes, lady, you deserve this. You deserve me dating you for a long period of time. But then look what happens. And remember, you are using blue for a tone shift, and you all decide what is the tone as we're going to shift into this next stanza. So you would definitely want to highlight this part. I would go and do 2 lines there, hit your tone, and there is the tone shift. Everybody okay and with me? Good enough. All right. But at my back, I always hear time's winged chariot hurrying near. And this is a really harsh stanza, guys. It's like the flea, where in the flea he was trying to persuade her to have sex. Well, in this one, kind of the same thing happening. And yonder all before us lie deserts of vast eternity is the way it would have been pronounced in Shakespeare's day. Thy beauty shall no more be found, nor in thy marble vault shall sound my echoing song. Then worms shall try that long preserved virginity, and your quaint honor turn to dust. Are y'all hearing the tone? And into ashes all my lust. The grave's a fine and private place, but none I think do there embrace. If you have to put this into language that we would use today, he's telling her what, Joseph?
Can you guys hear me now?
Now we can. Now we can.
Okay. Um, so for me, he's saying like, I would love to spend all this time with you, but like we have no time as I feel death coming behind me. And when we die, like we will turn old and there will be no more beauty. And then when we die, the worms will have like the body that you preserve so much for.
That was excellent. You really got that. He's just telling her she's going to get old and ugly and we're going to die. So while we're young, we need to go have fun. That is different than the first stanza. And that was a really good interpretation. And if you look at that line, I would definitely mark this line. And your quaint honor turned to dust. What is he saying there? There is definitely a tone there. And I would also mark syntax for that one because the tone in that, remember when we did the flea and he said, the flea shouldn't have bit you, it should have bit some other easy woman. And here he tells her, what are you saving it for? Because you're going to die. We're both going to die. So time's winged chariots hurrying near. It's like the picture I showed you where the petals were falling and wilting. Are you seeing how all of this fits together now? So far, everything we've done is carpe diem. We okay? Everybody good on it? All right, now, in the next stanza. And in the next stanza, there is a bit of a tone shift here. Now, therefore, while the youthful hue sits on thy skin like morning dew. Okay, come on. And I would definitely make that tone shift. There's a lot more, guys. I'm just doing the basic things here for you so that you can see. And then when you start to put your paper together, these are the things that you're going to want to talk about. So when he says, now therefore, while the youthful hue sits on thy skin like morning dew, you're looking for the metaphysical conceit. And while thy willing soul transpires at every pore with instant fires, now let us sport us while we may. And now like amorous birds of prey, rather at once our time devour than languished in his slow chapped power, let us roll all our strength and all our sweetness up into one ball and tear our pleasures with rough strife. through the iron gates of life. Thus, though we cannot make our son stand still, yet we will make him run. Who wants to tell us about that stanza? Amber, what about you? What's going on in that stanza? There's a lot. And guys, if you're thinking things that you think you shouldn't say, this poem is about sex. We know that. So what are you thinking is going on there?
Like I see the carpe diem attitude like at the beginning.
Okay.
And then like talking about the birds of prey and like devouring and like
So what
tearing
kind,
the pleasures,
so what kind of sex does he want?
like intense.
Rough. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no doubt about it. You picked the words out. He wants to devour her. Devour, birds of prey, but something happened right here. Somebody talked to me about that. That diction, whoa. I don't know why that keeps doing that. What is going on there? Anaya, what do you think? What do you see that's strange?
I really don't know.
What does amorous mean?
I like lovely.
Yes, love. A lovebird is like a dove. A bird of prey, it eats dead things. So right there, you have a bit of an oxymoron, you might say. Guys, that's the metaphysical conceit. He's comparing the love he wants to have with her to birds, amorous birds of prey. Everybody following me? So these are the things. Be sure you're writing this out beside, guys, so everybody, you can get all this. I'll go slow enough for you to do it. And Amber picked out devour, and then he says, and tear our pleasures with rough strife. And that word sport, you play in a sport. That's sex. That's what he's talking about there. This is metaphysical in this last part, but it's like Amber said, it's also mixed with the carpe diem. Who can tell me, and you can do it delicately, through the iron gates of life? What is that? Somebody who hasn't said anything. Kristen, tell us about the iron gates of life.
I'm really not sure.
Have you understood the poem up to this point?
Somewhat, yeah.
Where's there a problem?
It's not really a problem. It's just I have a hard time understanding poetry.
Okay, so if he says, and tear our pleasures with rough strife through the iron gates of life, what would the iron gates of life be? Anybody? Andrew, you know? Oh, somebody was going to say, go. Oh my God, can anybody understand what she said? Liz, what do you think?
I don't really know what this
Oh,
line.
Cami said her chastity, you're warm. And Miriam said death. No, Cammie's closer. We can say it like this, lady parts. Why would, because where a baby's born, that idea, gates of life. But why the word iron?
Because he can't convince her.
Oh, in a way, that's interesting. You could probably write about that. That was good. This is coming off the Dark Ages, the medieval time, when, and these were really true, because someone yesterday said, well, are you sure they really had those? Yes. Chastity belts. What were they made out of?
Iron.
Yes, they were made out of iron. And these chastity belts, that would have been the iron gate, because some of those chastity belts even had little baby guillotines in them. Yeah, I mean, it gets really disturbing. They build all kinds of things with it. So all of this, all of these allusions, everything in this last part, when he says, then it shifts back to, thus, though we cannot make our son stand still, yet we will make him run. What does that mean? Those last two lines are really important. When you're with me, doing the things I want to do with you, time's gonna fly. In other words, they're gonna make time run. They can't make it stand still. Time's always gonna be passing, but we can definitely make it run. Everybody following? Those of you who don't have a visual, do the little thumbs up thing so I can tell you're understanding. I'm going to go back to the line that is considered the most famous. I was at TCU at a workshop, and a professor, a guy, was teaching it to my group of AP teachers, and it was all women. And when he was teaching this one, two ladies got so embarrassed they got up and left. I thought it was funny. But in this, it's up to you to, the line that's so very famous, my vegetable love should grow. This one. You figure out what vegetable he's talking about there, because he's not really talking about a vegetable. And that's the line that everyone always remembers on this poem, because it is pretty funny. So, to his coy mistress, what I would like for you to do then, after you've done this, you're going to go through and highlight everything. And then at some point before Monday, the 30th, go back through and submit this. And all I'm asking of you is a thesis statement. You're just going to write a thesis statement from this. Y'all with me? Andrew? Everybody, do you feel comfortable with the poem? And going through and marking the way we did, it really helps, and then you can write things out to the side, and it will guide you in writing that thesis statement. We didn't do very much with diction. Transpires, usually it's going to be verbs that help you a lot with diction. So many different things, because I wanted to make sure we made it through this. But everybody's good on it? If you have a buddy who's not here, it might be good. I did record this. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. Let me